Welcome into the Common Dad Podcast, Season 3, Conspiracy Theory Edition.
Ooh.
Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. If you're watching, you can see that my thoughts are safely encapsulated in my big, dumb, bald head that I really didn't account for.
Safely encapsulated from what?
Yeah, maybe it's safer for the world that the thoughts stay in. I don't know.
Who are you
But I've
trying
got
to
it
keep
on.
them from?
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. So tonight, that's the tune. That's the one. That's the Twilight. That's Twilight Zone,
That's
right?
Twilight, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, or this morning, or at lunchtime, whenever you're listening. It doesn't
5
matter.
o'clock somewhere. Grab yourself a drink
but-
and sit down. This is
right.
going to get interesting.
Just have one. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Well, look, we've been pumping out a lot of really solid fatherhood / parenting / dad material. And I feel like we've been being a little just too productive lately. So this should water it down pretty good. But before we get into that dumbness, let's talk about some real life dumbness that happened to me today. And I don't even know, maybe this would just be a story and you just nod and we move on. I'll just explain this to my listeners. So I work at a place. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get fired. I work at an establishment where I often have to send and or receive emails, which is a pretty common practice these days. Even for an older person, wouldn't you say that's a pretty... Email is like the most basic form of technology, it feels like.
I don't know what you're saying by basic form of technology. I think email is a standard practice within the vast majority of businesses.
Yeah, that's a better way to say it. So anyway, I am emailing back and forth with a client. And this is the weird part. I have received emails from this person that are just regular old emails where they type words and then they hit send and then it goes up into the atmosphere and bounces off satellite and comes back down to me.
That's exactly
33 years old. Still don't understand at all how that works. In my head, it kind of works like the way it did in Willy Wonka. Remember that scene where they flash the candy bar and it pixelates over? Anyway, that's how email works in my head. So this person needed to write me another email, a lengthier email. So they got the email ready. They typed in the subject line, which is great. And then they gave a little like 3 to 4 sentence introduction to their email, which was also great. And then it said, see attachment below. That's fine. Attachments are normal. No problem. Let me click on the attachment. I click on the attachment. It is a handwritten note by the person. It's not somebody else's. It's by that person. And it's in cursive, like we all learned in 8th grade. And there's like equations on there. Whatever. I don't know. Forgot it. I certainly don't remember when I learned it because I forgot it.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter. Maybe 5th grade? Was that a grade school thing?
Yeah, I believe I started that in 2nd.
Yeah.
And then continued to work on that through 3rd and 4th. But like,
I'm glad we spent a lot of time on that.
Started in 2nd grade with learning some of the basic letters.
That's been helpful. I'm glad we did that. Anyway, so, and I'm reading through this letter and you're thinking to yourself, well, maybe this was like a thank you letter and they wanted to be very personal, which I could appreciate. It was not. It was a strictly business letter that this person sat down at a kitchen table and wrote with a pencil, took a picture, attached it, and sent it. Can you... Here we go. First conspiracy theory of the night.
Seems like
why would anybody do that?
Well, it seems like an older person thing. Maybe they're one of those that like they're the single finger typers and they can't type very fast because they have to like. I would think it's an older person thing who's not used to a keyboard because they have to do that and it's super slow and it's like, well, I could just write this on a piece of paper in an instant because I know cursive and I could just write this whole thing out and it'll be easy versus sitting here and A, B, C,
right.
D, like that. I could see that with an older generation. I think it's a little foolish, but
this person was older than us, younger than our parents.
Yeah, just learn.
But to your point,
just learn.
Maybe they were a bad typer. But wouldn't you just pick the phone up and call me?
Well, and that's ultimately where, like, I do emails all day long. I mean, to the point where I'm probably approaching over 100 emails received and sent a day, of each, if not more. Right. And I would say a lot of that could actually be avoided just with phone calls.
Just a phone call.
Like, there are times where I have gone back and forth with a client 3 and 4 times within an hour, 3 or 4 emails with the same client back and forth. And it's like, you know what? I'm just going to pick them up and call them, because we're going to wrap this up
10-minute phone
way faster if I just rattle this off back and forth to them real quick, figure out exactly what they need, rather than back and forth over and over again. Yeah. So yeah, just pick up the phone and talk sometimes. It's a lot easier.
And she is kind of crazy, so it does kind of track. Like, if I had to pick any of my clients that would do that, I would probably pick her. So I guess it makes a little bit of sense. And I think that's a probably pretty solid lead into what we're going to talk about, because I feel like she probably believes at least 50% or more of these things that we are about to talk about. So we're going to go into some conspiracy theories.
Now, are we going any conspiracy theory, or are we going to try to stay on topic here?
We're going to try to stay on topic, as
this could derail quickly.
Listen, if it derails, and if it's quality content, which we only produce, then it derails. We'll do our best.
That's feel like we should offer some calls, like phone calls here. Like,
we could, but this is a pre-recorded podcast, so that could get tricky. But if you want to call in, by all means.
Maybe. Okay, so what if we let people suggest their own conspiracies in the comments, and then we do a part 2? If we get enough, we have to get enough conspiracies.
Yes, to fill an episode. If we get 4 or 5, I think that'll do it. Or we can make it like a little opening segment. Yeah, very low standards. I mean, I got a tinfoil hat on. Like, what do we want here? Stop. Immediately stop what you're doing. Thank you so much for listening, but you need to stop. Subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, stop, subscribe right now. I'll give you a couple seconds. If you're driving, pull over, stop and subscribe. Okay. Thank you so much. Back to the show. So anyway, with that being said, let's get started. I want to split these up into some sections, maybe into like believable, plausible, and then total BS.
Oh boy, you're already dividing our audience here.
Yeah. So what side of the spectrum do you want to start on?
Well, I think every conspiracy theory is founded in some form of reality, and so they're all plausible.
Okay.
If they were completely implausible, I don't think they would really have a whole lot of following. So
that's true, except for the birds aren't real people. But all right, let's start with the not probably real. I don't know. We'll just Bigfoot. Let's just start with freaking Bigfoot. The classic conspiracy theory, Sasquatch / Bigfoot. He's probably got other names around the world, the globe. We'll get to that later.
Oh boy.
I don't know. What are your initial thoughts on Bigfoot?
My personal feeling is that somebody at some point was drinking, camping, tired, sleeping, high, you name it, not of their normal sound mind, and probably in the woods somewhere, and got scared from a bear or something else. And you know, when you're younger, you sit in a house at night and your mind plays tricks on you. You hear the house, you hear the trees out
33, it still plays tricks on me.
You know, anytime you're in a new place, you know, you go to a new house or something, and you start to hear the house, you know, the creaking of the house and the sounds, and your mind just starts to go nuts. I have a feeling that's just a case of you know, like, I mean, look, you have different versions of this, because you have, you know, Bigfoot and Sasquatch, like you said, and there's
Right.
what's the winter
Yeti.
one, the abominable snowman,
The abominable snowman. Yep.
So you're just talking people who are tired, maybe malnourished, maybe they've been up on a
Right.
mountainside too long with a lack of oxygen to their brain, and they see a polar bear and they're freaking out.
Standing up.
It's
hey, friend, what did it look like? Well, it looked exactly like a bear standing up, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it was a giant creature, you know, standing on two legs, covered in fur, that was 8 or 9 feet tall. It's like, well, gee, a polar bear is huge.
Feels like it could just be a bear, Fred. No. This is not. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you. But however, when I think of conspiracy theories, I always run it through at least one filter, because you don't want to do too much, because then you just never believe them. At least one filter, and that is the why. Like, what's the point of, other than like just to get like some popularity in your little town, but like who is to benefit off this? If we were to discover like fully blown, we captured Bigfoot tomorrow, it would be like, oh, this is cool. And then in like 2 weeks, it's like, well, he's just another animal. Like it doesn't change anything. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't matter in 2 weeks if we discovered.
Well, it's
Bigfoot
a person
tomorrow.
telling a story, you know?
Yeah.
They come down off the mountain, they get, you know, they finally reach society from, you know, running through the woods, and what are you running from? And they're telling a story. That's right. So ultimately, to a degree, do I believe the story? Sure. I believe this person came across a creature in the woods, in the mountains, in the snowy hilltops, whatever it is, that scared the ever living daylights out of them and caused them to go running for dear life back to society. Do I think it's Bigfoot? No, I think it's a bear, a black bear. So, like, to a degree, sure, it's real, but you're just calling it something different.
And you can kind of put like all the monsters, like there's the Loch Ness monster, which is like,
oh no, that's
it's in the same. Well, it's a lake. We would have for sure seen it by now. It can only go in a certain area. Like somebody would have been like, "Oh, there it is. I have an iPhone." Like
it's a big lake, dude.
It's a big lake. But however, if we want to talk about the ocean conspiracies, which I don't have any on there, I kind of half believe all those, because we've discovered 10% of the ocean. So like we don't know. Like, would you be that surprised if we discovered the megalodon? I remember when the giant squid
for the ocean stuff. No, I wouldn't be surprised, because I always, I don't know this as a fact because I'm not smart.
Right.
But I always hear, you know, smart people saying that we know more about outer space than we do our own ocean,
which I don't believe I feel like that's actually impossible. Right. But I have heard that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So Loch Ness is roughly 22 miles squared.
I mean, it's a big lake,
and it's 750 feet deep.
Yeah, I would be big, more apt to believe Sasquatch before. Or no, I'm sorry. I'd be more apt to believe Loch Ness than Sasquatch.
Oh, I believe there are plenty of creatures that we have yet to discover that live in the depths of the ocean. I mean, we've yet to even explore the deepest parts of the ocean, and I believe we just recently discovered that there are parts of the ocean that we thought were the floor, and it actually turns out there were these somebody's probably going to correct me here because I'm probably going to butcher this.
That's okay. Just
essentially our sonars, we were scanning, you know, the ocean, and there was this dense layer of fish.
Yes.
They were all like closely packed together. And like it was an insane amount, like a massive amount of fish, really tightly packed together. And the sonar read it as the floor when it was actually just this pack of fish swimming through. So we don't even know where the bottom of the ocean is in certain parts of the ocean. So it's like you're sitting here telling me that there's some creature that glows in the dark and is larger and has, you know, lives miles beneath the surface. Yeah, I believe that. We can't go down there. Our machines can't go down there. Heck, we can't even scan down there because our scans get interference from other things. So we can't even scan down there, let alone go down there and see what's there. Yeah, I believe there's stuff down there that we've yet to discover.
We got to stop poking around down there. There's nothing there's nothing good that we're
I
going to
think they
find.
bury Transformers down there.
That's a fact. That's an actual fact. So
Our
yeah, we'll
government
mess
does
around
it.
and yeah. All right. So let's move on from the monsters. I think those could possibly be real, but probably not.
Well, I think they're real, but they're misconceived.
Right. Yeah. And they're all insignificant. Other than the ocean stuff, they're insignificant. Sasquatch was real tomorrow. Cool. That's fun. I still got to go to work. Loch Ness is real. All right. Great. Changes nothing. Now let's get to let's go right into these people, these flat earthers.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean,
Have you
everybody
read
by now,
about this at all?
I have read. I used to work with somebody who was a genuine flat earther, and it's so frustrating.
What's the longest conversation? Was it she or he? Just so
Hour.
I can get that.
It was
part
a he.
correct.
It was a he. It was a he. And
You had an
I spoke
hour-long
with him
conversation with him.
for about an hour.
With him trying to convince you, him defending
him trying
his
to convince
point.
me. He defended his point. I defended.
So it was
my
back
point,
and
which
forth.
is-
It wasn't just him stating his own research.
Correct. So he came up to me and like somebody mentioned like, hey, he's a flat earther. And I was like, you're a what? And he was like, I'm a flat earther. And I was like, all right, lay it on me, dude. Cause I never met a flat earther. So I was like, just tell me why it's fat. First, I think you're a little dumb, but whatever. I'm a little dumb too. It's fine. I think it's fascinating that somebody could believe this. It's incredible. But we talked for like an hour, but what was frustrating because at the end of it, I pretty much asked him, I was like, is there anything that science could do to tell you that the earth was round? Like if we were to take you up into a weather balloon and you could see the curvature of the earth, would you believe it? And his response was, well, no, because they could have just done something to the glass. So it's like, no matter what you say to them,
There's a glass. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't believe the earth is flat.
Right. Because it's not.
I feel like some people get so caught up in their own stubbornness and their own humility, if you will, of like they've owned this to a certain point where like
you just go with it now.
If they try to backpedal, it's too late.
Yeah.
They're all in. They have shoved all those chips in and they are bluffing until the final day.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't matter because, but yeah, I
can
one of
kind
those
of
where
appreciate that.
It's exactly what you said. Is there anything we could do to convince you? No.
It's like, well, all right.
At some point, the person has to be willing to do research or to see research on a particular subject and form conclusions. If they're so ingrained, like, I mean, I've never been to space. I've never been in a weather balloon way high up in the air. I've never had somebody sit here and have a, hour-long debate about flat earth or round earth or any of these things. But I've looked at enough facts or it's all conspiracy theories, right? Facts.
You can say
quotations
facts for sure.
And I've formed a little bit of my own conclusion. Am I right? Who knows? I'd like to think so. I also think on this particular topic, if somehow I was wrong and the earth was flat, that would be one of the biggest kept secrets in ever.
I think.
I mean, I don't think there's a bigger secret. I don't even think Jesus coming back from the dead is a bigger secret somehow than
it's 1A. Like it's definitely right there. Yeah.
The number of people that would have to be on the inside of that and agreed to keep the secret and not leak. I think it's completely implausible that there are that many people. I mean, look, the FBI has people leaking information left and right, and
everything
you've got
gets out.
WikiLeaks and hackers.
Everything.
Hackers are able to shut our government down at the drop of a pin if they want to. And there's all these things. There's all these ways for information to leak, and yet somehow they've kept that under wraps.
Right.
Globally, because it's I mean, look, the United States is one of the world's largest superpowers, but at the end of the day, China has their own space program. Russia has their own space program. I'm sure there's plenty of other countries that have their own space programs and who have, and you know, you have people who are launching their own things up into the, you know, exosphere or stratosphere, or all these different spheres, whatever they are, to do their own, you know, experiments and learn and whatnot. To somehow think that you could, I mean, you even have SpaceX. It's a completely private company, not government owned. So what, is he in on it now? The government said, okay, we're going to let you in on it. Well, why did the government decide to let SpaceX in on it?
A guy.
It's a private company, not a federal company. Why did they get to? Well, okay, who in SpaceX is allowed to know? Elon, I'm sure. Some of his head engineers. How do they keep the rest of them under wraps? Like, hey, we want you to build this rocket, but you're never going to see it launch. We're just going to roll tape, you know, when it's time to launch.
Yeah.
We need you to go to this other place where you can't watch it. Like, who from you? But you have all these private people now who know about it, and you expect nobody to know. Somebody's going to tell their wife, and their wife is going to be a Karen, and Karen's going to go on Facebook, and there's no way to keep that under wraps.
It feels like the flat Earth movement, and it is that now, which is terrifying. It feels like it started as somebody said it as a joke, and then somebody believed it, and then it spreaded like an infection, and then a year later, that person turns around and was like, "Oh, I was just kidding. Okay, guess we're rolling with this now."
Well, I really think it's more just there are some people as you get older, and it seems as though it tends to be, you know, guys tend to think of things a certain way and women tend to think of things a different way, and guys tend to excel in certain forms of thought process and girls tend to, you know, excel in different forms of thought process. I've always heard that men are better, and maybe I'm wrong, but this is what I've heard, at being able to imagine 3D structures in their mind.
I've never heard of this.
So there was this puzzle game I used to play as a kid growing up where they would show you a 3-dimensional like block. You know, think of a bunch of cubes stacked together 3-dimensionally in a specific pattern. Not even a pattern, just, you know, blocks stacked together in a different form. And then you would have to go recreate it. But you could only see like one angle of this 3-dimensional object. And guys stereotypically will do better at recreating the object in 3-dimensional space than girls. Because we can imagine, okay, well, if there's a block there, there has to be a block here that I can't see, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
I completely forget where I was going with that.
I don't know. I think you were going with men are just the dominant species. Is that where you were
no, I remember.
Getting to?
So I imagine that there's, to a degree, somewhat of a difference where some people imagine us as the center of the universe and the Earth rises and falls. You know, it rises in the east, it falls in the west. Well, clearly it must be going around us.
Right.
That's my thought process. As I'm here, I see the Earth, the sun from over there. It comes up into the sky. It goes all the way over my head and comes down. Well, clearly it's making a circle around me. So it's a completely foreign concept to that person to then think, no, the sun is stationary to a degree. Obviously, the sun is rotating itself around in a you know galaxy, but the sun
if you look at it
is
close
stationary
without any sunglasses
and
on, you
we're
can see it
spinning.
turning.
Not the sun's not going around us. We're spinning in a circle
going around it, right?
And the sun is stationary in one spot. Like,
it's just there. Yeah.
So I think it's a difference in thought process where people have these different ways of thinking of things. And it's hard for them to understand a different perspective when in their mind it's so clearly
that's just how
this functions.
Process information. It would be interesting to spend a full day with that person and see how they logically work through other problems and to see if that differs. Like they get in their car and they just drive it backwards. All right, well, let's stay in space. This is fun. I love space. Let's just talk about aliens. slash Area 51. I am a full believer in
Space
aliens.
robots.
That's why I have this tinfoil hat on. I mean, they have to be real, right?
Space robots?
I mean,
who fought
right
each other
underneath.
on a foreign planet and destroyed their
Sure.
own planet, and now they come here?
I could see that. But I mean, definitely other life, other intelligent life, not just other like. I would be so bummed out if we discover quote unquote aliens and it's like a space slug. Like that doesn't do anything for me. Like I don't care. Like we have octopuses here; those things are incredible.
It's interesting.
Do you think we have other like intelligent? I don't want to say humanoid beings, but like
no, I don't know that they would have to
problem-solving,
be humanoid.
UFO flying.
I don't personally believe there's anything else out there.
Really?
That's my own personal take on it.
Tell me why.
Just my own.
Okay.
I think we probably
just
would
need
have
to-
come
you just need
across them at some point if
You think?
they were out there.
I don't know. It's a lot of space. It's all the space.
It's a lot
It's all
of
of
space, but a lot of it is theoretical. We've launched probes out there as far as, Pluto, I think, or just beyond Pluto, which now isn't a planet. I don't know.
It's a planet. It's a freaking planet. Don't disrespect Pluto.
So we have we've seen at least as far as our own solar system, but then we claim that there are galaxies and that there are hundreds of billions of galaxies inside of our universe. And then there are multiple universes, and then that all of those universes are constantly expanding and forming north. Well, we don't know any of that. I mean, we're looking in telescopes and we're theorizing. Okay, well, what do I see over here? Okay, well, I see that. And there is some science behind it, but then there's also a lot of we're taking complete guesses. Because even at the speed of light, what we're seeing is by their own definition, if we're seeing universes or even galaxies that are hundreds of light years away, well, what we're seeing happened hundreds of years ago.
Looking into the past. Yeah.
Because it took hundreds of years for that light or that vision to travel all the way to us. So it's all purely theoretical.
How the hell can we see that far?
To a degree.
Insane.
I don't know. I think to a large degree, I think that I think life finds a way. I think organisms require a specific set of circumstances to be alive, and I tend to be a creationist. I think there's a higher power out there that created life. That's not to say he didn't, he, she, it didn't create life somewhere else.
Right.
But I don't believe in evolution. I don't think that, things just happen to, form together and evolve.
Right.
That's not one of my beliefs. Some people think that a single-celled organism over the course of millions of years can somehow evolve into intelligent life. I don't believe that. That's fine. We can get into that if you want.
Right.
I could take a phone and put it. The biggest excuse I've always heard is you could take a phone and you could put it in a baggie, take a hammer, smash it 1,000,000 times. And then you can take that bag that has all the components of life or all the components of a phone in it.
Right.
And you could shake that bag until you die. Is a phone ever going to form? No, it's not.
Never. Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many times you shake the bag. A phone is never going to form. And yet you have all the components of a phone in there. And you could shake it for your entire life, and your son could shake it for his entire life, and your grandson could shake it for his entire life. You could shake that bag for 100 years, 200 years, 1,000 years. A phone is never going to form.
So I guess my thought process. No,
I believe in creation and a higher power, and I don't think there's anything else out there.
So
if there is, I don't think he who created us is intended for us to go find that.
That I agree. That I agree with her. He would have put us closer. I also believe in creation, but my mind goes to what my dumb little tiny human mind goes to. Why make all of this if nothing else living like it's all just rocks. All of it. Some are hot rocks, some are cold rocks, some's gas, maybe some water. Like all of it is nothing.
A better way to show how big he is.
I guess, yeah. I guess. I don't know. It just in my, and now I don't think at any point in time, and certainly our lifetime or maybe even human existence will ever find any evidence, but I'm just like, gosh, there's just a lot of space to just be nothing. It's just a lot. And maybe I've watched too many alien movies. That could be the issue. That could be the problem. Looking for a sign. I feel like you and I just almost had the same conversation that the two guys had in the movie Signs, where they're sitting on the couch and they're talking about if he's a miracle man or a what is it? He's like, are you a miracle man or do you believe in? I can't remember what it is, but you almost went down the exact same monologue.
I don't remember that monologue
that Mel Gibson did. He sits there and he tells a story about how he was about to make out with a girl, and just as he goes to kiss her, he realizes he's got gum in her mouth, and he leans over, puts the piece of gum in a plastic cup, and just as he's doing that, the girl throws up all over herself, and he goes, if I wouldn't have had that gum in my mouth, she would have thrown up right in my mouth. He's like, oh yeah, I'm a miracle man. Someone's looking out for me.
Someone's looking out for him.
That was Walking Phoenix. That's who it was. All right, so. Interesting. I would have thought you maybe believed aliens. All right. Well, let's just keep it in space.
Certainly, if there's aliens out there, they're not going to stop by here. They're going to see our stupid human race here killing each other and go, "Yep, we're moving on." There's no reason to spend any time here.
If our planet was a store, it'd be a rundown Walmart, and there's a Target around the block.
It'd be a Kmart. It'd be closed.
There's just no. Oh man. Thank you so much for listening to the Common Dad podcast. We are so thankful to all of our listeners and followers, and we have heard you loud and clear. We would love to introduce our new line of Common Dad merch right down there at the link below. We got t-shirts, we got hoodies, we got hats, we got travel mugs. If you want to see another item in the store, leave us a comment. Let us know. We will get to work. Thank you again. Now, back to the show. All right, let's just stay in space. We're having a good time here. Are the moon landings a hoax?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Again, too many people would have to keep that a secret.
Yeah, a lot.
Way too many people would have to keep that a secret.
Some of the video is kind of weird with like, now again, it's video, could easily be doctored, but like the flag waving. It's like, is it waving or does it just move? Like, I don't know how space works. I've never been there. Like, if you move something in space, does it continue to move unless you stop it? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you were to plant that flag in space and like give it a little shake, would it continue to shake?
There's no way for. I see what you're saying with that.
What's the old rule? An object in motion stays in motion. Does that pertain to the moon?
It would.
It would, right? It's a law of the universe.
But you're talking about waving a flag. It's not just going to continue to wave. You're taking a force, a lateral force, and you're,
right.
That's what the wave is it's continuing to move.
Yeah.
But once it passes through, I assume that it's, I don't know, maybe a physicist can phone in and explain how we're stupid.
Neil Tyson DeGrasse just missed us, unfortunately. We had a scheduling conflict.
Don't think if you say his name wrong, it's going to...
Yeah, he's probably not coming anyway.
It's a great way to get him on.
Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Everybody knows. How do you say his name?
I think you flipped it. It's Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh, you're right. It is. That's how it is in the phone book. Don't worry about it.
Depends whether you have foil on your head or not.
The only good reason to fake the moon landings is the reason they give in the movie Interstellar, right?
I forget the only reason.
Logical reason. So in the movie,
probably my favorite space movie, but I forget the reason.
So the reason in the movie is
so they did fake it. They claim to have faked it in the movie.
They claimed to have faked it in the movie. Their theory was that they faked the moon landings to bankrupt the Soviets during the Cold War.
That kind of makes sense.
So they pretty much they faked the space race, and the Soviets dumped millions of dollars into a space race, and we also did, but really I don't know. So that was kind of the theory, but I don't know. people are like, well, why haven't we been back? It's like, well, we went there. There's nothing there. I don't know why you would. What would be the point of going back? Like, yep, still here, still moon rock, cool. Like, I don't know. I don't see a reason to fake it, right?
We got to build a moon base.
Moon base would be cool. Like on the Austin Powers, you have a moon base?
I think there's a moon base in Austin Powers.
Moon base would be cool. I mean, in 10 years, we'll be going to the moon with Elon, right?
Moon or Mars? I don't know. I know he's.
Oh, yeah. He wants to
colonize Mars. I think.
Yeah, that's weird.
Well, his whole mentality is that we as a people are banking on Earth being sustainable. And if something
Mars
happens,
already not sustainable?
But think of all the nuclear threats. Granted, we're not in nuclear wars right now, but
right.
Any number of countries could literally make the planet uninhabitable in the blink of an eye.
In moments. Yeah, that's a good point.
Mars
is a desert, but it's still not a nuclear desert.
Between ourselves and Iran and China and all these different countries, you name the country, we have enough nukes to nuke the world 100 times over. That's before you even begin to consider asteroids and meteorites and space and global warming and you name any number of different catastrophes that could wipe the planet from being habitable. We're banking on the entire human race on none of that happening. His whole theory is let's build a contingency plan of let's go put some people on Mars so that if the planet all of a sudden dies, God forbid,
we can go.
The human race survives.
Now, question: If you were to build a Mars base, let's say we build a United States Mars base on there, and a country is finally had enough of us, and they're like, all right, we're nuking the United States. Wouldn't they just be like, hey, aim one at Mars too?
And 6 months from now it'll blow up?
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, there's gonna be plenty of time to send Bruce Willis to turn that puppy around.
I don't know. What was the Arnold Schwarzenegger Total Recall? The first thing I think about when establishing a moon base or a Mars base.
Yeah.
First thing I think of is Total Recall.
We're running short on time here. I want to run through a couple fun ones. The Matrix theory, the simulation theory, that one terrifies me.
Ooh, man.
I don't, because a lot of smart people say like there's actually a really good chance that is actually it, and I don't like to think about that.
That we're all in a
just a
computer simulator.
That would suck. First of all, if that is the case and somebody takes my VR headset off, I'm kicking them in the face. This video game sucks, right? It's not good.
Certainly could have been improved in a few areas.
Right. Like, come on. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like to think about that one very much. But it is a popular one. Let's skip to this one. Why don't you lay this one out? Because you gave this one to me, the Mattress Firm.
Oh, gosh,
theory.
I haven't discussed this one in a long time. I'm going to have to look this up as I'm talking here.
Do you want me to give you some?
Yeah, go ahead and give the synopsis of it.
Yeah, so there are, I don't know where it is. Andrew's going to find it here in a minute. So there is an area or a couple areas in the United States where there are mattress firms like more populated than Starbucks, literally block after block after block after block of mattress firms. It's how often do you as a person buy a mattress in a lifetime? I think I've bought 3, maybe. Like, so the theory is, why are there so many? Yeah, go ahead. So take it from here.
It's just that there's so many mattress firms, and they're all either having some type of a clearance sale or something, right, and yet never seem to close. And like, Have you ever walked
into a mattress firm?
I've never walked into one, and I have never bought a mattress from Mattress Firm. Nor do I know anybody who has bought a mattress from Mattress Firm. But there are mattress firms almost as, scattered around as, like a Starbucks almost. Not quite, but they are everywhere. And it's got to be a money laundering scheme.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. When you told me that, I was like, well, Actually, I am more apt to believe that it's a money laundering scheme than I am to believe it's a legitimate business. How would they stay in business?
There can't be enough money in selling
doesn't make
a
any
few
sense.
mattresses here and there. I don't even think, every time I drive by it, I feel like the parking lot is empty.
Yeah, there's nobody in there.
There's nobody in
make
there.
Any sense. So let's do another money laundering, and I fully believe this one too. That modern art is a big, if not the main money laundering vehicle in the world, because you can look. I can throw up on a canvas right now. I can frame that bad boy and take it somewhere, and it's worth whatever somebody wants to pay for it. And you can't really question it. So the thought is, well, that's the perfect way to launder money. Is it not?
It's 100% the perfect way to launder money, because art only has value when somebody says it does. And when you buy a piece of art, you can claim on your insurance the value of that. So you could go paint something that's a piece of crap. I could pay you $100 million of dirty money for it, and then go to my insurance company and pull out an insurance policy on this piece of art that you drew for 4 cents. I could pull out $100 million insurance policy on it.
Right. I mean, it's perfect.
Like,
it's super sketchy. It's at very least a way people launder money.
Oh, 100%.
I don't know. It's definitely has happened. There's no doubt in my mind. All right, last one. I think this one is the weirdest one of all of them. It's the Mandela effect. This is the theory that essentially a split universe theory, multiple universe theory.
Oh, interesting. Is that like a
so
Doctor
the
Strange
Mandela
thing?
effect? Yes, similar. The Mandela effect refers to a situation in which a large mass of people believes that an event occurred when it did not. The term was originated in 2009 by Fiona Brome, whatever, after she discovered that she, along with a number of others, believed that Nelson Mandela had died in the 1980s in prison, which in fact he actually died in 2013. So that was kind of one, and people don't just
so
like
they're saying it's
remember
multiple
these things.
universes, and in a different universe or in a different reality, he died, and they can sense that he died, and so multiple people believe he died because in a different reality he died, though in our reality he did not.
So there's that theory, and then there's also a theory like at some point like those realities like combined, and now you have like a mixture of both.
So he did die, but a different version of him is now here.
Correct. Well, he's for sure dead now in both realities, but it's
but what
when
about
he
the
died
next reality?
The what?
Nothing.
The what? Okay, I didn't hear you. So there's multiple examples of this. So well, you'll know because you're a Star Wars guy. But how do most people remember the famous Star Wars line?
Well, that's
I am
just
your
people
father.
being stupid. Yeah.
Well, it is people being stupid, but most people I think would say it's Luke, I am your father, when it is in fact
it's what? It's no, I am your father.
Correct. So there's that one. There's a bunch of these. This is the one that hit home to me. If you're your early 90s, late 80s baby. So the famous children's book series, The Berenstain Bears, is actually, if you remember in your head, how do you think the Berenstain Bears is spelled? Berenstain. But a lot of people remember it being spelled the Berenstain Bears, Berenstein. I remember it spelled with the E.
See, I'm just stupid. I barely even remember it.
Well, that was one of like the most popular books we read when we were little. So I just like have it ingrained in my mind. But that's the one that sticks out to me the most. But there's a bunch of examples. It's a weird theory.
I remember
in the
some
fact
of these
that,
stories.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. It's Google it. It's the Mandela effect. It's very interesting because there's normally just two memories that a group of people have, but it's not just like if you were to ask somebody like, "Hey, what's the line in Star Wars?" They would for sure say it's Luke, I am your father, and then the other group would say it's no, I am your father. So I don't know. It's weird. I believe in aliens. Drew does not. which means when they invade, I will, of course, be safe because 2 reasons. I believe them. And second, because they can't read my thoughts because I have a tinfoil hat and you don't. Real quick before we go, what's your favorite?
If there are aliens, they see you right now and they go, yeah, there's not a chance I'm messing with that. And they're going to fly right by. They're going to like slow down. Like when you go by like a bad neighborhood, they're going to like slow down, look out the window.
Yeah.
And then they're going to hit the accelerator and just fly right on by.
I like the thought that a super evolved alien has like just an accelerator pedal in their spaceship. It's just a mechanical
88 miles an hour.
Just
something like
hit
that.
the gas. Yeah, they got 4-wheel brakes. Before we go, what is your favorite alien movie of all time?
Currently, I would probably say Interstellar.
Is that an alien movie though? Remember, the aliens turn out to be humans in the future, which we could do a whole another fully titled episode
when he falls through the black hole and he goes through that whole what's it called?
The Tesseract.
It's the Tesseract. It's evolved humans from the future that created that.
Yes, that's the working theory in the movie. And in order to believe that, you have to believe that time doesn't exist in a straight line. You have to believe that it exists on a flat plane and everything is happening simultaneously. Because in order for the future humans to in fact save us, they would have had to in fact survive the planet dying.
Straight up alien movie that's probably a favorite, then I would say the original Independence Day.
Ooh, that's a good one. Was the second one any good?
Is watchable, but just so that you get the story.
It's just that's a good one. Jeff Goldblum, one of the most epic speeches of all time.
He's probably got the most memorable speech of all times.
And you can plug that speech into
into the night.
You can plug that speech into a halftime speech. Like it's just good, man. It's just you could wake up, play that thing. Like it's an all. Yeah, it's good. That's a top one. I don't know, man. I watched Signs a month ago.
Good.
It's still good. Like it's so suspenseful. It's quite uncomfortable. Independence Day is good too. All right. Well, let us know what conspiracy theories you want us to talk about, if you do at all. And of course, if you hated the episode, let us know too. But if you loved it, let us know and leave a comment and tell us your favorite alien movie if you have one. My thoughts are safe. Your thoughts are not. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at @the_common_dad and on Facebook at The Common Dad. This is season 3. Oh, yeah. And don't forget to go to YouTube, like, listen, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next time.